What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Nation Show. This is just a web series where we're talking about all things that matter to me in the world of movies. Let's talk about Ghostbusters 3. And the third installment in the Ghostbusters franchise is something that has been talked a lot about in the last 2 years, especially from Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman. Now, Dan Aykroyd has been very passionate about making a third installment in the franchise since 1990. He's been talking about making this happen for 20 plus years, and he's been so passionate about it because, well, he's been one of the writers for the last 2 films, and he wants to make a third one happen. He really had a good time playing Ray Stantz, and of course this franchise and this story is very dear to him. He wrote the last 2 films along with Harold Ramis, and I believe that he wanted to work on the third installment with Harold Ramis. Unfortunately, Harold Ramis passed away, and now this kind of left the franchise in a really tough spot. But Dan Aykroyd still wants to get it made. Now, finally, we have some solid information about a third installment happening. Now, before I talk about that, let me just talk to you, or rather tell you about some of the ideas that Dan Aykroyd has had with regards to making a third Ghostbusters film. First of all, he wanted to have the entire team back for another adventure. That didn't seem to work out because Bill Murray really has no interest in working on a third film. He is somebody who is done with the franchise. He wants to pursue something that really stretches his acting chops, and he feels that Ghostbusters 3 is really not in the pipeline for him. So Dan Aykroyd wanted to work around that. He was thinking about having Bill Murray appear as a ghost, which I think is totally silly, alright? It doesn't work. And then he thought about having Peter Venkman and Dana Barrett's son, okay, little Oscar become the new Ghostbuster. And I felt that, okay, that doesn't work as well. I want to see the entire team back. And then he thought about having the entire team back, but have them as the old-timers and have them train a new, younger generation of Ghostbusters so that the older cast doesn't really have to be in there a lot. Alright, so they're not really main characters, they're the supporting characters. The new generation of younger Ghostbusters will be the new a team of Ghostbusters, thus making them lead into a new potential franchise starring these new younger generation of Ghostbusters. Well, that idea didn't quite work out. I think Sony Pictures was getting a little bit impatient, considering that they're getting close to the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters. So they decided that, okay, none of Dan Aykroyd's ideas are really working out. His stories aren't really something that is really going to come together, and it's really falling apart. So therefore, a reboot is happening. A full-on reboot is happening, and this is official. And what they have in store for us Ghostbusters fans is, not only is it a reboot, but I believe that Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman don't really have anything to do with this anymore. Okay, what's going to happen is that it's a reboot directed from, what is his name again? His name is Paul Feig. And Paul Feig directed The Heat. He's a director who directed a really silly comedy called The Heat, and that movie was a buddy cop film starring Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. Now, that is a movie that was led by 2 female actors. Now, it looks like he wants to bring that formula, that successful working formula, to the third installment of the Ghostbusters franchise, this Ghostbusters reboot, and that is to have a completely female-led team of Ghostbusters. So that is what's happening. A Ghostbusters reboot directed by Paul Feig, an entire cast of female Ghostbusters, and to have this film written by Katie Dippold and Paul Feige, who also wrote The Heat. So, looks like Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman really don't have a whole lot to do with this film anymore. Dan Aykroyd has been wanting to get this film off the ground for 20 plus years, and he came up with some pretty outrageous ideas. In fact, his latest idea was to have the Ghostbusters franchise to be kind of like the Marvel universe, to have it expand into a larger universe. But that's just really Dan Aykroyd and his wishful thinking, and really that's just Dan Aykroyd talking. All right, I love Dan Aykroyd. I think he's a really creative person, and he comes up with a lot of great ideas. And his role as Ray Stantz was awesome in both films, both Ghostbusters 1 and 2. But I think that his age is getting to him, and he's coming up with some really outrageous ideas that aren't really working. So it looks like it's time for a reboot, and like I said before, we got Paul Feig directing, we got a female-led cast of Ghostbusters, and we got Katie Dippold, who wrote The Heat, writing this new reboot. What do you guys think about that? I personally feel that I'm done with the franchise. I have lost complete hope for the franchise, and whatever they decide to do, you can do whatever you want. I don't care anymore. I was hoping for Ghostbusters 3 to happen because actually Ghostbusters, the very first film, is one of my all-time top 10 favorite films of all time. And I've just completely lost all hope in this franchise. I'm still going to watch it because I want to know what they're going to do with it and how this reboot is going to work out. But it's not going to be anything close to what the originals are going to be like. What else is new? And it looks like this is going to be just a complete reboot of the Ghostbusters brand. Keep in mind, it really is just a brand that's still alive. Okay, and they're gonna continue having it live on into this new rebooted franchise. What do you guys think about a female-led Ghostbusters film, rather a Ghostbusters reboot with crude humor and just an entire new cast, which most likely won't have the same charm as the first two? What do you guys think about that? You guys probably might feel the same way I feel, and that is, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't even know when this movie is going to come out. Maybe in 2 years, but I've lost all hope for it, and there you have it. That's all I got to say in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, @RaginNation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Psychologically disturbing. That is a feeling that you get while watching the movie. And like I said, it's all due to the